if you're seeing this, this will be your horoscopes for all 12 rising signs. Yes, you can watch for your sun and moon through March 10th through March 16th. So as always, timestamps will be in the description box below, as well as my email and my Etsy if you'd like to reach out for a personal reading. And yeah, see you at your horoscope, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope as well. Okay, now that we're through with the intro, we can chit chat for a little bit. Y'all, I just tried to film this intro a few times and I was so irritated because tell me why. This lighting is just like, especially with like a white room, it doesn't look correct. Do you see what I mean? It makes me look like a zombie. And then I had this light, right? Hold on. This looks worse. Maybe it doesn't, but it still looks worse. I don't know. I just don't like it. And so I was just kind of like, I'm filming this video way ahead of time. Today is the 5th when I'm filming this, and I think I'm gonna have to go away for the weekend because I'm just like going with my friend, and I don't think I'll have time to film the horoscopes any time between, excuse me, the 6th and like the 9th. So when you're seeing this, it's like we're like time traveling. But daylight savings time is also on the 9th, which is kind of like, I wonder what time this video will upload. I hope that it doesn't mess up. But this past week has been pretty weird. I had a flat tire on my car. We love that Moon Pluto conjunction in your 3rd house. I was in the parking lot and my friend and I got in and out. It turns out I was driving on a flat tire like that whole day. Don't tell her. But, you know, I'm just kind of like, I went back to my car, right? And it was so ironic because I literally had a mechanic looking shirt on. Let me show you. Hold on. Yeah. This shirt, right? So it's giving like mechanic. And I just thought it was cute. You know, I got that from Abercrombie, by the way. And I just thought it was so rude that I literally something wrong with my car while I'm in a mechanic's little cutesy outfit. And I walk back to my car and this group of guys are like, hey man, I think you have a flat tire. I wouldn't drive on that. Look over, passenger rear side. Sure enough, the tire is flat. And it was like torn at the bottom. I don't know what God or whatever is out there. Like, I don't care who out there. Jesus, the universe, Saturn, God, my parents, I don't know what is out there and why they want me here so bad. But I when I was driving that day, I was like, oh, like my car feels a little weird. I feel like one of my tires is low on air. And I knew it because I've had to drive on like a flatter tire before, and I know what it's like. But anyways, her friend came over and he was just gonna pick her up from our place and just like hang out. And then it was kind of like, oh, like, can you tell him to come over like to where we are so that we can have some help with the tire? It's because I didn't know I had a jack. I knew I had a jack, but I forgot that I knew. And then when she was like, and this is like branches off to another subject, so I'll kind of talk about it in a second. But she was like, oh, like, I'm just gonna tell him to go to the apartment then. And I was like, no, like, tell him to still like come over here. And she was like, why? And I was like, I need the support. And it was just so funny. But yeah, he came over, he helped us, and he changed the tire to my spare, and my car is still on my spare. And hopefully by the time you're seeing this, I have already gone to like a place to get a new tire and changed it. And it was just like kind of a mess because I asked my mom for money and she did give me some monies, which was really, really nice. And then I received some donations from people. So thank you guys so much. Especially, I don't know if she'd want me to say her name, but her name starts with a T. Leave that man alone, but also thank you. And, you know, it was just kind of a weird week, and I don't know. I need to go run my car so the battery doesn't start messing up again. But another thing is that asking for support was a very strange thing to do for me because I'm used to like doing everything by myself, especially after moving to California. And, you know, after being out here by myself for such a long time, I feel like I got very used to being independent. But when people tell me like, oh, you're so independent, or you're so like capable, it's kind of like, it's not that I am independent or that I want to do things by myself. It's more of like I was forced to, and this is my way of like, okay, like this is what I need to do. Like no one's gonna help me. Like I always say, like no one's coming. And you know, after this past year of having people show up and be there for me, I've kind of leaned into my humanity more, because I feel like people don't realize how unrealistic it is to do everything by yourself. And even if it is possible, it's very unfulfilling and it's very lonely. You know, I feel like for me personally, I would want to be able to relate to people and, you know, be like, oh my gosh, remember that time my tire went flat? You know, it's stuff like that. And I feel like that's more important than a lot of other things. And it's just been kind of like a learning process, and asking people for help, opening up to people, doing more for people, allowing them to do more for me. Jupiter and Gemini. But yeah, and I hope that a lot of you also feel the same way, where it's like you don't have to do things alone, and you're not as alone as you think you are, and it's about like leaning out and asking for help. At least for me, because I can do everything by myself, but gosh, that's a lot of work. If I don't have to, I'm not going to. That's my mantra. If I don't have to, I'm not going to. Some good news too. I feel like my money's been getting better. I feel like as a Taurus moon, Scorpio, so like money's so important to me. And yeah, I set out to pay off my debts. You know, like I have a fat credit card, y'all. And this is you know, like I'm mentioning this because like I feel like with like Neptune in my second house, like people think I'm like a millionaire. I'm like, no. But you know, like I just want, like, if you had debt too, like please, like just, we're in this together and we can like be debt free. I hate debt, but it's not as bad. It's not as bad as you think it is. But anyways, that's just like what I want to touch on, because I've been trying to like be more disciplined with my money, because in 2023 I was ham, y'all. I was going ham. I would literally buy like what, like $1,000 worth of stuff, get 2,000 from the universe from a mysterious source, and then I would spend even more, you know. And in retrospect, I kind of like, I'm like, gosh, girl, like you really didn't need to do all that. But also I have a bunch of stuff now, so I'm kind of like, you know, like, so I'm just kind of like, I don't regret anything that I did, but if I could do things differently, I probably would have. Anyways, y'all, I think that's all I have for today's little chit chat. So thank you for coming along if you did, and see you at your horoscope. Okay, starting out with Sag rising. So hello, Sagittarius rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Before anything, Sagittarius, I'm so sorry for all the background noise. I'm in a really loud house right now. This is the best that I can do. So if you hear any background noise, like kids doing anything, screaming, crying, yelling, or adults doing the same thing, just excuse that. Anyways, Sagittarius, I think that you and Aries particularly have the most eventful week ahead of you. The most. I would say, obviously we all have, like, it's all hands on deck for all of us, but I think that for you specifically, because the highly anticipated full moon lunar eclipse will finally be occurring this week on the 14th, and this will be in your 10th house. So I think that a lot of Sag risings are kind of going through something with their routines, but also as it relates to your work schedule, as it relates to your career. And mysteriously enough, this could be related to kids, this could be related to hobbies, this could be related to fun, this could be related to your self-expression, and even your romance and your relationships, because the ruler Mercury is in your 5th house. And at the same time, your chart ruler Jupiter is also in a Mercury ruled sign. The good news is that Jupiter is direct right now, so it kind of seems like whatever is going on right now, it's just overwhelming, as opposed to you don't know what to do. So I think that this week is where priorities will feel a little bit more straight, but you know, it might just feel a little bit overwhelming at times. Venus is also in the 5th house, and Venus rules your 6th house and your 11th house. So I feel like there could be something going on with your routines and your friend groups, as well as your social media. I feel like this week, okay, before I kind of go through anything, I want to mention that the moon will be starting out in Leo in the beginning of the week. And I feel like this is a really nice energy for you to harness, Sagittarius, because this is trining your ascendant. Of course, the moon will oppose Pluto, so I feel like a lot of you could be going through something with driving, moving around. I feel like a lot of Sag risings have been doing nothing but driving, phone calls, calling people, putting on a fire over the phone, internet. It's like, 1 minute you like my friend, she's a Sag rising, she like texts everyone back and she's like, all right, y'all, I'm caught up on messages, and then everyone responds back to her. Always driving, always moving around. So just know that the beginning of this week will be another case of that, or another episode where you're kind of having to move around and get things done. For a specific few of you, I would also be wary of driving in the beginning of the week. Definitely take your time, be attentive, and don't give into road rage. I don't know who needs to hear that. But aside from that, we will then see the moon move into Virgo and then square off with your chart ruler before beginning its eclipse. And so it kind of seems like this is something about professional relationships or business partnerships. So I think that a lot of you could be caught in a limbo between your connections and your relationships. And I feel like for a lot of Sag risings, what I've been saying is that a lot of y'all are living your life right now based on the reactions of other people. And if you're kind of wanting a guide to see how this eclipse will sort of pan out for you as you progress through the week, just pay attention to what the people around you are saying and pay attention to how others are reacting, because there's kind of a telltale sign about what is going to happen to you as the eclipse approaches. And there seems to be like a cause and effect kind of falling through this week, because we will see Mercury and Venus conjunct on the 11th, and then on the 14th we will see the excuse me, I just like lost my train of thought. We will see the eclipse on the 14th, and then we will see Mercury station his retrograde cycle on the 15th. And also the Sun and Saturn will be in a conjunction. I completely forgot to mention that to Aries. I feel like a lot of Aries placements are just going through it. But I feel like the Sun and Saturn conjunction is interesting because we also see the moon in a sun-ruled sign. So I think that a lot of you could be getting some clear answers when it comes to your home, your family, especially as it relates to your self-worth and your money. And this could have direct ties to your dating life. I feel like a lot of Sag risings right now are also going through things about relationships, feeling good enough for relationships. And it could be based on your past, it could be based on your history. And I feel like a lot of you, if you're wanting to know how the more emotional aspects of your life are going, you need to pay attention to the past and what has happened before, and you need to be more honest with yourself. That way, that when you move forward, you can know that things are a lot more in your control than you think you are, instead of seeking out people who validate and confirm the unhealthy narratives that you repeat to yourself. So, like as a Sag rising myself, I'm telling you one to another. So definitely this is a week where you want to be gentle with yourself and you don't want to be too criticizing. I think that a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo can call for a whole slew of being mean to yourself, being critical of yourself. So just kind of, give yourself a lot of grace. But the Venus and Mercury conjunction that we will see on the 11th, there seems to be something going on with your dating life, with your children, with your romantic partners, with the risks that you have taken. And it kind of seems like a woman is kind of coming back into your life to give you news about something. And it could be related to your work. It could be related to your schedule. It could be related to your health. It could be related to your goals, your opportunities, and also your friendships. Whatever the case might be, I just feel like it'll be something that's like you get news about it, and then the eclipse happens, and then you're kind of like, okay, like this is what I need to do about it. And then when Mercury stations retrograde the next day, it's kind of like someone is coming back to kind of assist you with something. So I almost wonder if this is like you getting back into contact with someone. The eclipse happens and you kind of get some news about it, and then the day after is like you kind of like going backwards and be like, okay, like this is what we need to do, this is what I need to take care of. And it can be related to your career, where you're moving positions, moving workplaces. For others of you, this could be about moving your health around, moving your routines around so that you can better accommodate a sense of well-being. The 10th house could also be related to parents, and I feel like this could be definitely something relevant for you, especially if you're kind of like going through something with your parents and the energy being activated in your 4th house. I kind of feel like this could be about your reputation, your public status, how you are presenting yourself to the masses. So I also think that a lot of Sag risings have secretly gone through something with friends and past romantic partners. I have to say, Sagittarius, there's no way around this. Mercury and Venus both stationing retrograde in your 5th house so gives like past flings coming back, or you hearing back from people who you used to like have fun with, or there could even be something about like friendships. It could be people you used to work with. Like people of all categories seem to be kind of coming back left and right. And honestly, the advice that I have for you, Sagittarius, is that because you are the only sign out of all 12 zodiac that will experience a grand immutable cross, I think that you should know that your life is right now, it's one of those things where it's like very heavy and you're moving something very big. But on the other hand of it, the little amount of progress that you do make is exponential to who you are fundamentally. So just know that you are in a very pivotal time right now, and this is a time of, well, pivoting and changing your strategy and finding ways to maximize your energy so that you can improve your relationships and manage how you are distributing your energy, your kindness, your the compassion. So I feel like there's no like subtle way to say it, because I think that you will continue to see this pan out. But just know that I feel like this is heavily related to your love life, heavily related to kids if you have any, heavily related to legal matters and your relationships, just your connection to other people, you know, like that's really it. And know that because Venus and Mercury will have stationed retrograde at around like maybe like 8 to 11 degrees, and the solar eclipse in Aries will happen at the end of the month at around the same degrees. So it's like, know that by going back on something, and know that by revising something and going back to patch something up and to clean it up, whether it be getting back with the person or whether it be you revising something about your own emotional habits, a new beginning is surfacing out of that at the end of this month. So just know, Sagittarius, it's only getting better from here on out, even if you can't see it. So that's all I have for you this week, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and I hope that I can catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Aries rising. So hello, Aries rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Before anything, Aries, I just want to say I'm in a very loud house. So if you hear background noises like yelling, kids, children, excuse that. Anyways, Aries, so the highlight of the week is most definitely the full moon lunar eclipse that will be happening in Virgo. And I have to say, Aries, this is the type of week where you really want to pay attention to what your body is telling you, because we have Mercury and Venus stationed retrograde or getting ready to station retrograde right in your 1st house. And I have to say, paying attention to what Mercury is doing is the name of the game, because there is so much mercurial energy in the skies. The full moon lunar eclipse in a Mercury ruled sign and Jupiter in a Mercury ruled sign. You know, I think that there is definitely something going on here with your health, with your routines, with your regimen, and your well-being. And I just want to say that you really need to pay attention to what your body is telling you. Like I said, like if you're feeling sick, or if there's like physical manifestations of your body, like, you know, of it not being well, you really want to take that seriously, and you want to take some kind of action towards it or preventative measures. And I don't mean to scare you in any sort of way, but I am saying that I just kind of feel like a lot of Aries placements have been kind of going through a loophole when it comes to their sleep schedule and their well-being, with the stellium and Pisces kind of clearing over your 12th house. And it kind of seems like you have been realizing a lot of things about yourself and your subconscious behaviors and thoughts. So I feel like this has been an alarmingly introspective time, and I feel like as you're kind of coming out of it, it's manifesting in your physical body, and it's time to take care of yourself and to take action. So before any of that, the beginning of the week, we will see the moon move through Leo, which is really nice for you. I feel like if you are trying to get anything done this week, or if you're trying to manage emotions or make sure that you're kind of ahead of the schedule, I would work with the moon in Leo, because moon in the 5th house in Leo, trining your ascendant, trining all these planets in your 1st house, kind of feel like this is you having fun, this is you enjoying yourself, this is kind of working with the energy that you're being given. I mean, the moon will oppose Pluto at first, so maybe at first it'll be a little bit uncomfortable, especially when it comes to your friendships, your intimacy with friends, and how close you feel to the collective, you know, society as a whole, but also social media and the internet. But you know, I kind of just feel like this is the time where it's like you're feeling a little bit prideful and a little bit happy, and it's just a good time to kind of manage, especially since your chart ruler is in a moon ruled sign, Cancer. So it seems like you're getting support or some kind of pride from your family, with people that you live with, your home. So lean into that energy, Aries, and lean into steady foundations that you are familiar with. I've been noticing a lot of Aries rising or Aries placements are especially homesick. So just kind of, you know, give yourself a lot more grace and know that you're navigating a lot of weird, wonky transits that are hitting specific houses in your chart, namely the 4th and the 12th, which can be really emotional. And then that full moon lunar eclipse in your 6th house, the ruler Mercury is in your 1st house. So it kind of seems like you're going through some kind of revelation or sudden realization within your physical body. Not a good time to get tattoos, not a good time to get piercings, not a good time to do any extreme changes or treatments to your body, like Botox, fillers. Don't do any of that right now. If you want to ruin your life, absolutely go through with it and then tell me how that goes. But, you know, if you want to stay on the good side, I think that this is just like, you know, like try to avoid it. But honestly, Aries, I kind of feel like this will be a very cause and effect kind of week, because before the eclipse on the 14th, we will see a Venus and Mercury conjunction on the 11th. And then on the 15th, the day after the eclipse, Mercury will actually station his retrograde. There we go. And, you know, Venus has rulership over your 2nd and your 7th house, and Mercury has ties of your 6th and your 3rd house. So I kind of feel like Venus retrograding to join up with Mercury is something about a news, about a woman, and it could be related to finances, legal matters, signatures, documents. So a lot of you could be caught up in something like that. There could be something about applications going on with money. A lot of you could be kind of regressing or like going backwards to double take on something with like a routine, or like seeing a doctor again about something. So I could see this as like, oh, I haven't talked to my therapist in a really long time, let me go back to them. Or, oh, I haven't talked to my sister in a really long time, and oh wow, she just like reaches out to me. This could also be an aunt or a grandma reaching out to you. The point is, Aries, it doesn't really matter who this person is. This is just somebody who you probably haven't spoken to in a very long time, or there is just a specific business that you've been carrying out with the person, and you're getting news from them, and you're kind of going back and forth with them over something, and it could be over legal matters or a sum of money, or it could also just be that you were clashing with your values. And then we see that that full moon lunar eclipse happen in your 6th house. So it kind of seems like after this news that you're getting from another person, it is directly, you know, catapulting you into your health, your routine, and kind of giving you some kind of news of what you need to do about that. This could also be related to work, you know, especially if you have been caught up between, you know, your work schedule, what you're doing at work, where you're working, the location, and whatnot. So I think that a lot of you could be wrestling with something like that this week. And then when Mercury stations retrograde the day after, you know, Mercury being the ruler of your 3rd house and your 6th house, it might be like, oh shoot, like I should really take care of my health. I should really go back to this. I should start working out. I should start moving around a little bit more. I should go consult somebody. The good news is that your 9th house ruler is in your 3rd house, finally direct again. So it's kind of like, if you are wanting to get back into contact with somebody who can guide you through this, or like a mentor or something, this is absolutely a really good time to do that. And I think that if you're wanting to consult somebody that you haven't consulted in a very long time, I think that a lot of you are either literally doing that this week, or you are planning on doing it, or it's just a very good time to plan. Whatever the case might be, this is just a good time to get back to people who you know can help you, and who you know you can learn a lot from them and gain insight from them, or at least gain some kind of stability and emotional support from them. So honestly, Aries, I really like this week for you, because I feel like a lot of you have been kind of like being held back or feeling topsy-turvy because you're caught up in between a bunch of things, but at the same time you may not be feeling up to deal with what's on your plate. So I think that this is one of the weeks where it's like it'll be more obvious who you can ask, or who you can go to, or what you can do to maximize your schedule and maximize your routine, so that you can kind of get back on top of things, or at least prepare for eclipse season and kind of make sure that everything's going well. And I have to say, Aries, the new moon solar eclipse that will happen on the 29th later in the month will happen at the same degrees or around the same degrees that Venus and Mercury will start their retrograde cycles. So just keep in mind what you're kind of going back on this month or this week, because it seems to be manifesting as some sort of a new beginning or new pathway opening up at the end of this month. So that's all I have for you, Aries. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now we are moving on to Taurus rising. So hello, Taurus rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Now, Taurus, before anything, I just want to say I'm so sorry if you hear any background noise. I'm in a really noisy household right now, so if you hear kids screaming, yelling, adults yelling, screaming, phones ringing, we're just gonna have to deal with it, okay? This is what we got. So anyways, so the highlight of this week, Taurus, is most definitely the highly anticipated full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo that is happening on the 14th. I gotta say, Taurus, I feel like this eclipse where you might feel a little bit anticlimactic, or it might kind of feel like things are a little bit exasperated, because 5th house is a pretty dramatic house in my eyes, and the moon in the 5th house with the ruler Mercury being in the 12th house, it might kind of seem like emotional things kind of get exaggerated. So I just want to say, I feel like a lot of Tauruses will be crying with their mascara on this week when it won't even be that serious. And it seems like, I know we're not talking about tarot right now, but it makes me think of like 9 of Swords, where like none of the swords are actually touching you, but it feels like they are, you know, where you're kind of worried about something that hasn't even happened yet, because the 12th house has a tendency to worry, and then the 5th house has a tendency to be dramatic. So before anything, we will see the moon move through Leo in the beginning of the week, and it will come into an opposition with Pluto and also square Uranus in your 6th house, or excuse me, I was thinking Sagittarius. It will square Uranus in your 1st house. So I kind of feel like there's something going on here with like your home, your family, especially your parents. So I think that you should definitely kind of like move with a little bit of grace with because Mars is also in Cancer, which is a sign ruled by the moon. So I kind of feel like there's potential for like conversations with people that you live with roommates, with family. And then I don't know, like this kind of seems unrelated to the eclipse, of course. So I just want to say, like, Taurus, just be wary of like the beginning of the week, because there could be some kind of like a weird tug of war with your career, with your work, with your parents, with your people that you live with family. And it could be like you're feeling a little bit unpredictable. Maybe you're feeling a little bit like, you know what, like I just want to completely change things up. So definitely try to keep it under ropes this week, because I feel like some of you could be feeling a little bit bored or a little bit wanting to change things up and reinvent, especially when it comes to your career and your work and what you do for a living. This could also be related to what you want to be perceived as and your public persona. But the full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your 5th house and is trining your ascendant and trining Uranus in your 1st house. Pretty interesting energy, if I gotta be honest. And then, you know, like I said, the ruler Mercury is in your 12th house. So I kind of feel like this is heavily you thinking or wanting to change something up with your love life, with your romance, with your children. Uranus isn't really like being tied down, so it could be that you're feeling a little bit, how do I say, flighty or non-committal or experimental and inventive within your relationships. You know, like maybe you're seeking out a person that you're usually not used to seeking out. Maybe you are trying to change up hobbies that you're getting into. Maybe you're wanting to change up your physical appearance. I would not do that under the transits that we're doing right now, unless you want to ruin your life. So if you want to ruin your life, go ahead. But anyways, I also kind of feel like a full moon lunar eclipse in the 5th house could be something about like your like risk taking. I feel like a lot of you could be feeling especially bold around this eclipse. And, you know, just like be careful of subconscious habits. I feel like this eclipse is kind of showing you in slow-mo how you self-sabotage or the bad behaviors that you exhibit, especially when it comes to your temper and your impulses. You know, Aries is about impulses. And it seems like this is a week of a cause and effect kind of situation, because we will see Mercury and Venus come into a conjunction on the 11th. Then we will see the full moon lunar eclipse on the 14th. And then Mercury will station retrograde on the 15th. And even before any of this, we also see Saturn and the Sun on the 12th come into a conjunction. And, you know, the Sun rules your 4th house and the Moon will be here kind of in the beginning of the week. Saturn also rules your 9th house. So there could be something about your home, long distance matters. Maybe some of you are wanting to pursue an education. Maybe this is a friend group, especially if you're in like college. I would imagine this is some kind of illumination or realization coming from like a group of people. Whatever it might be, Taurus, I kind of feel like a lot of you are either being influenced or kind of being given some kind of knowledge from a group of people. It doesn't even have to be like you are directly interacting with them. It could be like a website. It could be, you know, like a video that you see, a TikTok, I don't know. But the 11th house is definitely about the collective, about society, about friends and social media. So a lot of you could be going through something like that, especially with friends or people who live very far away from you. And I think that a very select few of you could also be questioning your faith, your beliefs, but also your educational pursuits, and maybe wanting to gather knowledge about something. I almost wonder if some of you are curious about history. I don't know. Anyways, then the Venus and Mercury conjunction that happens on the 11th is a pretty important aspect for you because you are ruled by Venus, and Venus also has ties with your 6th house. Mercury has ties with your 2nd house as well as your 5th house, which is where the eclipse is happening. So I want to say that a lot of you are going through some kind of questioning with your self-worth, especially when it comes to how you show up for people. This doesn't even have to be romantic relationships. This could be about your workplace, you know. How much do you show up for people that you work with? How much do you overextend yourself in order to assist the people around you? How much do you respect or disrespect your self-worth? And I think that a lot of you could be going through something like that. I also think that a lot of you could be revising something about your sleep. I feel like a lot of Taurus placements have been wanting to get back to the gym or practice a little bit more wellness, and this definitely might be the kind of week where you're kind of taking action on that, whether it be consulting someone about it, getting back with someone, or kind of like talking to someone. For some of you, this could be a woman, especially a woman that you work with or a woman that you haven't seen in a very long time. Or this could be for some of you, like some of you, you meet somebody and it just feels like you've known this person your entire life. So I think that faded connections are definitely a hot topic that will be, you know, like going on for you this week, Taurus. So definitely trust your intuition. And I feel like a lot of you are mentally revising something or kind of going back on something because your chart ruler is still retrograde in your 12th house. And then when Mercury actually stations retrograde the day after the eclipse, I kind of feel like be wary of past flings, be wary of past relationships coming back out of nowhere, be wary of, you know, like just wanting to go back to the past, be wary of, you know, just like, I feel like that's really the name of the game this week, Taurus. It's just like, take care to not go back to the past so much, or take care to not, you know, like go take one step forward and 3 steps backwards. Like, this is a week where you want to know that like even 1 inch worth of progress and movement and in the right direction counts way more than anything, you know. So take slow movement over excitement and passion right now, and you will be handsomely rewarded at the end of the month, because we will see a solar eclipse, new moon solar eclipse, right around the same degrees that Venus and Mercury have stationed retrograde. So I kind of feel like this is one of those weeks where it's like you can actively see your bad habits and your subconscious undoings, and then if you respect these habits and you build yourself up and counter any insecurities or negative thought processes or unhealthy habits, you will be handsomely rewarded with a new beginning at the end of this month. So that's all I have for you, Taurus. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye! Alright, now moving on to Gemini rising. So hello, Gemini. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Before anything, Gemini, I just want to say I'm in a really, really noisy house right now. So apologies in advance if you hear children screaming, crying, phones ringing, people yelling. You're going to hear it, and I am sorry. This is what we are working with. See, there you go. Anyways, so the highlight of this week, Gemini, is most definitely the full moon lunar eclipse that is happening in Virgo. And this will be occurring on the 14th, and this is happening in your 4th house of home, family, and the past. So I feel like a lot of you could be doing a lot of revision with your childhood, with your family. And I think that a lot of you could just be feeling especially emotional, especially since before the moon begins its lunar eclipse phase, it will square Jupiter in your sign. So I kind of feel like there's something going on here where you are expanding and you are growing and you are coming into a new shell of yourself. However, in order for that to happen, it seems like you are kind of revising something and decluttering something out of your psyche. And with the ruler being in Mercury, or the ruler being Mercury and being in your 11th house, Mercury is also your chart ruler, so you're going to be feeling this very deeply. I kind of feel like this is about your goals, your friendships, but also how you feel like you fit in based on your past. It makes me think of like, okay, well, how do I relate to other people? How do I connect with people? How do I make more friends? How do I heal previous friendships? Or, it could also be about social media. And it could be all based on your home. I almost wonder if for a select few of you, you're kind of like, well, I never grew up with the same home that everybody else had, so I don't really know how I could, connect with people. Or it could be something about like, well, I want to move, or I want to change homes, or I'm realizing this about my family, and this is how it translates into my friendships, my social media, how I express myself, and how I just, like set goals for myself. But kind of backtracking, we will also see the moon moving through Leo in the beginning of the week. This is in your 3rd house. It will oppose Pluto in your 9th house. And around the same time, we will see the Sun and Saturn come into a conjunction in your 10th house. Saturn rules your 8th house, and then the Sun rules your 3rd house. So I feel like a conjunction in the 10th house is definitely something about your parents, specifically the father, since Saturn does, associate with the father of the zodiac. But it could also be something about your parents in general. This could be about like a grandfather. This could be about an uncle. This could be about brothers. The 3rd house is siblings, But I feel like with the opposition, I also feel like there could be something going on with like car trips, driving around and moving around. If you are a Gemini rising, especially like the earlier degrees of it, maybe like anywhere between 1 to 5 degrees of Gemini, I would kind of be careful in the beginning of the week if you're driving a lot or if you're going on like long distance trips. There could also be something going on with like money, shared resources, finances. So just kind of pay attention to that as well, especially if you're like financing a car or if you are financially associated with a parent. But for others of you, I also feel like this could be about school, wanting to go back to school, being afraid of school. I feel like the classic Gemini experience is being afraid of not being good enough based on what you know. But I just think that the 3rd and 9th house being activated at the same time at the beginning of the week, there's definitely something going on with your educational pursuits and what you are learning. But there could also be like an obsessive tendency about knowledge and just like wanting to get a hold of knowledge, maybe through another person, like someone you're consulting, maybe like a therapist, a doctor, gynecologist. But I would also be wary of anything related to scheduling. Pluto does have ties with your 6th house. So if you have any important appointments in the beginning of the week, I would just kind of take your time navigating that and make sure that everything's lined up. I feel like you have like just like barely enough breathing room to kind of get something in, because we see Mercury station retrograde at the end of the week. So the beginning of the week, it's kind of just like, okay, like let me get this done, especially since when the moon's moving through Leo, it will sextile your sign and sextile Jupiter in your sign. And then I kind of feel like there is like this timeline of cause and effect this week, because we will see a Venus and Mercury conjunction on the 11th, and then a full moon lunar eclipse on the 14th, and then we will see Mercury actually station retrograde on the 15th. So the Mercury and Venus conjunction is especially important for you since you're ruled by Mercury. Venus rules your 12th house as well as your 5th house. And then Mercury obviously has ties with your 4th and your 1st house. So this could be something about your body. This could be something about your goals relating to your body. This could be something about like your body and how you like portray yourself on social media, or how you feel about your body based on how you see others. For others of you, this could be about your mental health relating to the internet. It could be relating to your dating life. It could be related to children. It could be related to something about like your self-expression, your creative hobbies. Maybe you're wanting to change your fashion sense, maybe you're wanting to dress differently, maybe you're wanting to wear makeup, maybe you're wanting to stop wearing makeup, something like that. And then for others of you, this could definitely also be like a woman, especially like a friend or someone who you kind of know through like the internet or like as an acquaintance. She could be kind of coming through and giving you news about something. It could be related to home, it could be related to family. For a lot of y'all, this could be completely not about you at all. This could be just like another person in your life's kind of going through it, and you're having to kind of like jump in and assist them with it and kind of put things on the back burner. So I just think that Gemini, especially with your 7th house ruler in your 1st house, it kind of seems like, I told Sag rising the same thing, but it might kind of feel like a lot of how you're operating right now is based on, you know, the reactions of what other people are doing. And I told the same thing to Sag rising as well, but what you're kind of doing right now, or if you kind of want to see how this week will pan out for you, pay attention to how others are behaving or what's kind of unfolding in other people's lives. And it can be a pretty nice telltale sign of what's going to happen to you with this eclipse. And you know, after this happens on the 4th, and then your chart ruler stations retrograde the next day, I could see this as like you're moving back in with family. I could see this as a family member is moving back in with you. I could see this as like you are becoming friends with someone again. I could see this as like someone from your past is reaching out to you and you're having a conversation with them, you know. But whatever it might be, just know that the degrees that Mercury and Venus started their retrograde, we will have a solar eclipse in that degree threshold at the end of the month. So the things that you're kind of going back on and things that you are putting it in reverse, this is where you will see new beginnings and new revelations at the end of the month. And it kind of seems like you're coming full circle with something. So be patient with yourself, Gemini, and know that this is one of those months where you will kind of see things come back around, and you literally will not see it until it is pretty much almost done coming together. So just know that there is something bigger kind of forming right now, and it seems to be related to your home, your family, your career, your sense of self, and your identity, but mostly as it revolves around your sense of self, with your chart ruler being so heavily involved in what's going on right now. So know that this is a lot of energy for you, and it is totally fine to feel super all over the place. Just know that all you need to do is just to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Even if it doesn't feel like a lot, when we're out of eclipse season, you will realize the little amount of progress that you made right now is massive when we're out of eclipse season. So that's all I have for you, Gemini. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening to the house. I don't know. I hope the horoscopes resonated, and if they did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye! Okay, now moving on to Cancer rising. So hello, Cancer rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Before anything, Cancer, I just want to say apologies in advance for the background noise. I am in a very noisy household right now, and if you hear kids screaming, yelling, adults yelling, screaming, crying of any kind, or cell phones ringing, I am sorry. We must deal. Anyways, so the highlight of this week is easily the full moon lunar eclipse that is happening in Virgo right on the 14th. Very, very potent day. It definitely seems like there's something going on here. Sorry, I just like realized there's like a lot of mishaps in my schedule this coming week. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Anyways, so this full moon is happening in your 3rd house, which is a pretty interesting house to have a full moon happening in my eyes, because I feel like it's very busy. You know, you're ruled by the moon, so you're very, very affected by this, Cancer, and in a very unique way. And I feel like maybe you could be feeling a little bit like nervous this upcoming week. I think that a lot of Cancer risings, you'll be in the state of like, oh, like, I don't know, like feeling overly emotional and just kind of like all over the place. So my best advice before anything, Cancer, is just move with patience and know that you are a lot safer than you think you are, and just really take care of yourself. And I feel like, you know, Virgo is about routine and structure. So go into this week with a sense of routine and structure and try to stick to that as much as you can, because there's really not much you can do during an eclipse season to begin with. So you should know that the cards are out of your hands anyways, and that you're really not in control. You're never in control, but in this specific week especially, control will come from your reactions and the little things that you do to communicate with others and to establish a sense of routine in your home. The good news is that this lunar eclipse will be sextiling your ascendant as well as a Mars in your sign. So it kind of seems like you're able to take action and you're getting a little bit more assistance with this energy than some others, because the ruler, Mercury, is in a Mars ruled sign. Now, before I kind of get into that, I do want to talk about the moon moving through Leo in the beginning of the week, because we will see the moon in Leo in just like the beginning of the weekend. It will oppose Pluto in your 8th house, and the interesting is the sun, which is the ruler of Leo, will be conjunct with Saturn in your 9th house. So I feel like a lot of you should know that your self-worth and relationships seems to be stemming from something about like your educational pursuits, or something about your worthiness or your beliefs, your faiths, and your big picture perspectives on connections. And I say that because Saturn has rulership over your 7th house of relationships. For others of you, you could be caught up in legal matters or documents and signatures and just papers in general when it comes to money, sums of money, especially if you are a student. So I could see this as like you are putting money aside for something with your educational goals. So it's like paying off student loans, paying off something with like your school. Maybe you're buying books for it. Maybe you're trying to get into school and this is you organizing something. In the US, we have FAFSA, but it could be something else for you. But I also feel like this could be about your belief and your faith in relationships. Do you want to be with someone who has the same religious takes as you? Do you want to be with someone who is just as, you know, like optimistic as you are, or something like that? But this could also be something about like long distance matters, especially like across bodies of water. So kind of keep an eye out for that for a lot of you if you are dealing with someone who lives very far away from you, or long distance relationships, or maybe some of you are even wanting to travel with somebody or just move around, and this is you funding that. But the good thing is that the sun is a good planet, and you know, Saturn is a little tense, but because I kind of just feel like you naturally have like a Saturnian take on your relationships, this is kind of an opportunity for you to shine light and bring structure to your connections in any situation that sort of needs some kind of balancing and recalibration. Anyways, I've been saying that I feel like this week will be a heavy cause and effect kind of thing, like a domino effect, because on the 11th, we will see Mercury and Venus come into a conjunction. Then we will see the eclipse happen on the 14th, and then we will see Mercury station retrograde on the 15th. Mercury rules your 12th house and your 3rd house. So your car, your communication, siblings, neighbors, your technology, your mental health, your sleep schedule, your subconscious habits, all of these things will be a heavy topic this week, especially as it relates to your career, your work, your parents, and your reputation and status. This is a Mercury heavy week this week, so the name of the game is about controlling what you are saying and withholding information whenever possible and valuing information at all costs. Knowledge is truly power this week, and I feel like the more you have, the better off you will be, you know? I also feel like there could be something going on with like a woman reaching back out to you with that Mercury-Venus conjunction. Venus has ties with your 4th house, so this could be someone from like way back when. This could be someone from your past, your childhood. This could be someone you grew up with and never heard from again. This could be someone that you used to date. You know, Venus also has ties with your 11th house, so this could be an old friend. You know, maybe you used to live with this person, and maybe it's a long lost family member. Maybe you're getting into contact with some of your family that you haven't heard from in a very long time. And it could be through the internet, it could be through social media. Someone could be randomly messaging you, following you, DMing you, or something like that. And then we see the eclipse happen on the 14th. And so it seems like the news that you receive around the 11th is giving you some kind of leeway to what's going on the eclipse. And then the next day when Mercury actually stations retrograde, it seems like you're kind of going backwards on something. Maybe it's about your home, like maybe you're moving back somewhere, maybe you're changing locations and this is affecting your career. Maybe you're going back to a specific job and this is changing your living situation, your driving situation, you know, like how you transport yourself, you know. It kind of just seems like there's something going on with your habits as they relate to your home and the people that you live with or your family, just like your physical location. Do you see what I mean? But I also feel like this could be you ruminating about something that's happened to you. I feel like your forecast ruler being in Aries could also call for some repressed anger. So honestly, Cancer, kind of pay attention to how you're going about this week, because it might be that you remember something and you're like getting mad over it all over again. So give yourself grace. If you are driving around the full moon, I would absolutely be careful, Cancer. I think a full moon in the third house can be very like all over the place, especially with like squares to your Jupiter in Gemini in your 12th house. Be careful of driving when you're sleeping. Be careful of driving in low visibility. Be careful of like schedules not lining up. Be careful of running late for things. Give yourself as much time as you can. You are not in a hurry this week, okay? Play it safe. And just know, like, the things that you are revisiting is kind of where you'll see new beginnings occur, because we will see a solar eclipse happen at the same degrees that Mercury and Venus started their retrograde in at the end of the month. So it's kind of like, know that the things that you are deciding to take steps back on are the things that you're kind of being thrusted back into, even though you thought you were done with them. You're starting a new beginning here, or you're kind of like starting a solid new start right here, despite the fact that it might have been like very like off and on these past few months, but like this month is like something being wrapped up with your career and your work. So that's all I have for you, Cancer. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for dealing with the noise. Anyways, I will see you next time. Bye. Okay, now moving on to Leo rising. So hello, Leo rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Before anything, Leo, if you hear any background noise, like kids being kids, screaming, yelling, crying, or adults doing the same thing, or phones ringing, I'm so sorry. This is what we're working with, y'all. I'm in a loud house right now. Anyways, so the highlight of the week is definitely the full moon lunar eclipse that is happening in Virgo on the 14th. Highly anticipated, all over the place. And honestly, Leo, I kind of feel like the energy for you is a little bit more familiar, or it kind of seems like the universe is trying to help you along. Excuse me. I actually feel like the more difficult part of the week for you is the Saturn-Sun conjunction that we will see on the 12th. But I kind of want to start in the beginning of the week, because we will see the moon moving through your sign as the week begins, and it will come into an opposition with Pluto. And this is like around the same time we see this Saturn-Sun conjunction. So the moon being in your first house, being in a sun-ruled sign, and the sun being conjunct at Saturn in the 8th house. Saturn has ties with your 6th house. So I feel like a lot of you could be going through something with your health and your routine. I totally wouldn't be surprised if you are revising your physical appearance. And I totally also wouldn't be surprised if this is playing a part in the lunar eclipse, where it's like, because the 2nd house is about confidence, it's about values, it's about your self-esteem and your self-worth. So I almost wonder if this is like related to your body image, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself. And then the Saturn-Sun conjunction in the 8th house is kind of like revealing issues with intimacy, being able to connect with people on a deeper level. And it kind of just seems like there's something going on with that axis, if you know what I mean. For others of you, this could also be about your money, your finances. Maybe you are trying to invest money into your physical appearance. If you're trying to get any procedures or anything done, I would absolutely wait until after all the retrogrades are over. If you want to ruin your life and you want to do it right now, absolutely go for it. But, you know, let me know how that goes. But for others of you, Virgo is a health-related sign, so I almost wonder if a lot of you are also trying to get a hold of somebody in order to get with like a health practitioner or something in order to help you with something. With yours, chart ruler being in the 8th house in Pisces, this could be about like your bodily fluids, your body chemistry. But I've been saying that I feel like this week there's like this cause and effect sort of situation going on, because we will see a Venus Mercury conjunction on the 11th, and then we will see the lunar eclipse on the 14th, and then we will see Mercury station retrograde on the 15th. So you can kind of see how there is a series of events kind of going on. By the way, when the moon's in Leo, it will come into a square of Uranus. So something about changes in relationships, business relationships, partnerships, connections. You could be feeling a little bit restless with your work, wanting to break free from it, wanting to break free from a relationship. There could also be obsession coming in from other people, or you getting obsessed with another person. So just kind of be wary of that. But anyways, the Venus and Mercury conjunction will happen in your 9th house. Venus rules your 10th house as well as your 3rd house. And Mercury rules your 2nd house as well as your 11th house. So I feel like a lot of you could be reaching out to somebody. Maybe this is someone who, or like a woman who could be reaching out to you. She could live very far away. You could be going back and forth with her already. It could be something about applications. It could be about documents, interviews. It could also be about like an audition or something. It doesn't really matter what the context of the connection is. It kind of just matters that it seems like somebody is reaching out to you again about something, and then you're kind of going forward with it around the eclipse, because the eclipse is in a Mercury ruled sign. And then when the Mercury retrograde starts the next day, it seems like you're kind of going backwards. And you know, the 9th house is about education and school, traveling. So some of you could be traveling for this trip, and maybe you're going back and forth with someone to visit them, and maybe you haven't seen them in a really long time. I almost wonder if for others of you this is about, you know, like maybe you're visiting a family member who is very far away, like an aunt, a grandma, a sister-in-law or something. This could also be about you going back to school, or something about moving back to a different place or going abroad for educational purposes. You could also be getting together with a mentor. But the eclipse in the 2nd house is a pretty tense aspect, because it might be something about like, and this is the only reason why I would think it's tense, it's because Leo, you're being forced to confront yourself and your self-esteem at a very deep and very personal level, and it seems to be related to your belief, your faith, your educational pursuits, and your values, as well as like the big picture. You know, like, do you feel worthy of being fulfilled? Do you feel worthy of having things go your way? The 9th house is about, like, to me, about like ultimate fulfillment, what you want out of life. And it might be about like, you know, maybe feeling good enough for what you want for yourself. I'm so sorry, he's being so loud right now. But anyways, this could also be something about like money and investing money into education, investing into travel purposes. I almost wonder if some of you are trying to like learn about something, like maybe you're trying to go to like a museum or something like that. But Venus having rulership over your 3rd house too, and Venus being tied with this could also be like a very busy time. Leo, if you're looking to buy a car, or if you're trying to finance a car or refinance a car, I think this could be a good time to go back on something of a current vehicle, but this is not a good time to buy a new car. I've been telling that to literally everybody, but especially you, because your 3rd house ruler is retrograde. If you're trying to buy plane tickets, or if you're trying to travel abroad, or if you're trying to do anything that I kind of said, this is not a good time to start new things unless you are already going back on something. So it's like if you had a plane ticket and you weren't planning on going anyways, and then you change your mind, this is a good time to kind of go through with something like that. If you have a car that needs to be fixed, or if you are, you know, trying to refinance a car, good time to do that. But if you're trying to buy a new car or start something new in these areas, especially if you haven't already planned it through, this is like a really bad time to do that. So kind of navigate that with care and wait until April when planets are direct. But yeah, I kind of feel like with planets being in a Mars road sign and Mars being in your 12th house direct, I think that a lot of you this could be boiling down to your mental health, improving your sleep schedule, improving your mental health and your sleep patterns, And also, Leo, I would say pay attention to your subconscious habits and how you self-sabotage, especially when it comes to your self-worth and feeling good enough. You know, when it comes to intimacy, feeling close to people, making friends, your career, your work, just all sectors of your life where your self-worth may be faltering or relying on criticizing external energies in order to feel a sense of fulfillment or to feel a sense of stability, when that is false and unethical. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Leo. Thank you so much for being here. I hope the horoscope resonated, and thank you so much for listening to kids scream. Anyways, I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Virgo rising. So hello, Virgo rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Virgo, before anything, I am in a noisy house. So if you hear kids screaming, crying, yelling, adults doing the same, doors slamming, phones ringing, I am very sorry. Leos were literally sitting through a festival. I don't know how I feel or how they'll feel, but I'm just kind of like, it is either this or no horoscope, point blank period. Anyways, so the highlight of the week for y'all, for all of us, is most definitely the full moon lunar eclipse that is happening in Virgo, in your first house, on the 14th. Now, I have to say, Virgo, the interesting thing about this eclipse is that it kind of seems like the themes that you have worked on over the past year during the Aries and Libra eclipses is coming back to kind of re-haunt you, but at a more personal level. And if there were things that you felt sort of out of control in the past year, I kind of feel like these eclipses that are about to start for you is you being able to kind of work on it and actively do something about it. Because I kind of feel like a second and eighth house eclipse can be a little bit is tumultuous the right word, but just very all over the place because it might be a little bit out of your hands. But anyways, so before we kind of get into the eclipse and how it will unfold, I do want to talk about the beginning of the week, because we will see the moon moving through Leo, and it will come into an opposition with Pluto and a square with Uranus. It kind of seems like there's something going on here with like your sleep schedule and your routines and your health. And it seems to be affected by long distance matters, by school, by extended family. It could also just be that there is some questions going on with your bigger beliefs in life. You know, the ninth house, Uranus, it might just be that you're feeling very restless when it comes to information, knowledge, educational pursuits. I feel like a lot of Virgo risings have on the low been kind of like confused about like their higher education or what they want to know right now, and this might be like another nudge towards that, especially because when the moon's in a sun ruled sign, the sun will actually be in a conjunction with Saturn in your 7th house, which is definitely relevant to the eclipse because the sun and Saturn are getting very close to the nodes. And so this could be about your boundaries within your relationships. I almost wonder if this is about, you know, like separating yourself from other people, and not like in a way that you're breaking up, but more so in a way that's like, okay, like this is who I am, this is who they are, you know, there's a tendency to merge with other people or to get confused with other people because of their feelings versus your feelings and vice versa. And I feel like this, you know, the beginning of the week is kind of buttering you up for the eclipse, you know, being like, I don't know how you'll feel about me saying you're getting buttered up by the sun and Saturn, but I just feel like it's a hilarious but accurate way of like depicting it. So take it for what it is. But I definitely feel like this could also be about how you self-sabotage, you know, your ego, your perspectives, your friend groups, your social media, how you perceive yourself. And this could also be related to your health and your routines. How do you show up for other people? What is your acts of service? What is it that you do for others that you might not do for yourself? How are you overextending in certain relationships that is no longer benefiting you? And I feel like if you have been in an ongoing feud, or if you have been kind of reminiscing or kind of stuck in between connections and regrets with your relationships, I feel like this Sun-Saturn conjunction is kind of bringing something up to you, and a habit that you might kind of give into repeatedly within your closer relationships, especially when it shows up with your more primal instincts, with your intimacy, because we have Mars in your 11th house, and Venus and Mercury and Chiron are all in a Mars ruled sign, and we will see a solar eclipse at the end of this month that will be happening around the same degrees that Mercury and Venus will have started their retrograde cycles. So whatever you're revisiting, or whatever intimacy struggles, or whatever themes around money and values that you're kind of revising, especially as they relate to other people, will be the catalyst or sponsor, if you want to say, for the solar eclipse that we'll see at the end of this month. And it kind of seems like this week is very cause and effect, because we will see a Venus and Mercury conjunction on the 11th, and then we will see the eclipse happen on the 14th, and then your chart ruler Mercury will station retrograde the day after on the 15th. So it kind of seems like there's something going on here with like money, with your taxes, with debts, with loans. Mercury also has ties with your 10th house. Venus has ties with your 2nd house as well as your 9th house. So this could definitely be about like paying off student loans. This could be something about buying like tickets, or paying off certain tickets, you know, something about your career. You know, what does your career mean to you? What do you want to do for work? What is valuable to you? Especially because when the moon moves into Virgo, before it starts its lunar eclipse cycle, it will come into a square with Jupiter. So it kind of seems like this could be related to your home, it could be related to your family, and it seems to be like you're taking action with your home and family life. I've noticed that some Virgo risings are moving. Some of you are changing your living situation up, and maybe it's to accommodate something, excuse me, or it could be that you are having people come stay with you. But whatever the case might be, Virgo, I feel like the Venus and Mercury conjunction that happens, it seems like at first there will be news coming in. This could be like a woman. Maybe she's very far away from you. Maybe she lives long distance. Maybe this is a mentor. Maybe this is somebody that you consult for knowledge purposes. This could also just be someone that you work with, somebody that you used to work with, you know, retrograde. So I kind of feel like as that happens, as you get news from somebody, then on the 14th, it seems like you're taking action, or there is like a full illumination moment of your identity and what you need to do. And then when we see Mercury station retrograde on the next day, it kind of seems like you're going backwards on something and kind of going back to the basics with something. And I totally wouldn't be surprised if this is in some way like a huge extension of what has happened with the Aries and Libra eclipses that happened last year. So it could be around your money, your self-worth, your confidence, and also your ability to connect with other people at a deeper level. So that kind of seems like to be the layout of what's going on around the eclipse. I kind of feel like this is just like a continuation of something, and it doesn't really seem to be like new energy. It more so seems like what has been given to you from last year is what is being used to fuel your new beginnings this year, because you have learned more about what you are worthy of and what you feel good enough for. And I feel like Virgo is just kind of like, be honest with yourself about that, you know, be honest about what you want and be loud and proud about it. If you're gonna like talk smack, do it earnestly and honestly. Like, I feel like that's the best way to say it. If you're going to go for something that you like, you need to be loud and proud about it, you know, especially with like the moon in Leo opposition to Pluto in the beginning of the week. It's just kind of like there's no other way to say like moving to where you like bad bees. I wish I could say the word, because bad bees just doesn't sound like as much of a vibe, but like this, you know, this is YouTube now, this is not like TikTok. But that's what I have to say about this week, Virgo. Be loud and proud about what you want, and this eclipse will heavily reward you with the right relationships and with the ability to connect with people more truthfully, more on brand to who you truly feel you are at a deeper level. So yeah, that's all I have for you, Virgo. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tolerating all the interruptions and noise. I hope your horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye! All right, now moving on to Libra rising. So hello, Libra rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Before anything, Libra, I'm so sorry if you hear any background noise, children screaming, crying, yelling, slamming doors, adults doing the same thing, phones ringing, all of the above. I'm in a very noisy house right now, and it was either this or no horoscope, so we rolling with it. Anyways, Libra, the highlight of the week is definitely the full moon lunar eclipse that will be happening in Virgo on the 14th. And for you, this is happening in the 12th house, which is a pretty blindsided house in my opinion, and it might kind of feel like something's weighing on you and you don't really know what it is. I think Libra, you have a natural tendency to be very critical of yourself and to immediately blame yourself and assume everything is bad because of you, and you have a tendency to take responsibility for things even when it is not your fault. And the full moon is definitely going to scrutinize this, especially as it relates to your relationships, your connections, and the people that you converse with, and your higher beliefs, your philosophies, and your morality. So I think that this full moon is going to be pretty uncomfortable for you, but it isn't going to necessarily be uncomfortable by external factors. It's going to be uncomfortable because it is uncovering layers and layers of secrets and things that you have kept on yourself for a very long time now. So this is really an opportunity for like, let the cat out of the bag and air things out. Like, this is truly like an emotional spring cleaning for you. Anyways, before we kind of dive into that any bit more, I do want to talk about the full moon, or excuse me, the moon moving through Leo in the beginning of the week, and it will come into an opposition with Pluto, and then it kind of square Uranus in the 8th house. Pretty uncomfortable transit as well. This could be anything about friendships, social media, intimacy, and feeling closer to people, connecting to people deeper, especially when it comes to like money and finances and how much money others have versus how much you have, and like relating to people, especially when it comes to like your love life as well. Maybe something about children, taking risks. Bad time to be gambling, by the way, Libra. That Pluto in the 5th house, I'm just saying. The nice thing is though that the moon will be trining planets in your 7th house. So I think that a lot of people will be kind of coming in to help you this week, or it kind of seems like people are like acting up a little bit. I kind of told this to Sag rising and Gemini rising because of the 7th house energy. But Libra, it might kind of be right now, it's not that you yourself are doing much, but it's like you are reacting based on how other people are reacting around you. So if you kind of want a telltale sign of how this week is going, pay attention to your interactions with other people and the emotions that you kind of get out of that, and they will be like a huge catalyst for how this eclipse will sort of unfold for you. But there could be something going on with like your friends, your dreams, especially as they relate to like children, self-expression, romance, and you know, your deeper connection to life, your philosophies. I feel like because we see this week seems to be like a cause and effect sort of layout, because we see Venus and Mercury come into a conjunction on the 11th, and then we will see a Sun-Saturn conjunction in the 6th house, which I want to get into right after I lay this out. And then we see the full moon lunar eclipse on the 14th, and then we will see Mercury station retrograde on the 15th. So the 12th, when we see the Saturn-Sun conjunction in your 6th house, Saturn rules your 4th house and the Sun rules your 11th house. And in fact, when this happens, we will see the moon moving through Leo, a Sun-ruled sign. So I kind of feel like there's something going on here with like your health, your routine, with water. You know, especially in like the workplace, a lot of you could be moving around stuff in the home to accommodate a different health or routine or work schedule. A lot of you could be moving offices. A lot of you could be feeling responsibility with your health because of your family. Maybe this isn't even about you. Maybe there's a family member who is sick right now, or there's something about water. They live across a body of water. Maybe water issues in the home, and then your mom's like, oh, hey, like, can you, or like your dad's like, hey, can you come over and help me fix this leak? Or hey, you know, like I'm gonna come over because our house is flooded, something like that. And, you know, and it's like having to affect your routine. But whatever the case might be, this beginning of the week, there's definitely something going on here with like your friends and your relationships and like your social circles and social media as it relates to your home and your family, and how that kind of like interacts with your routine and your daily schedule. So definitely, Libra, go about this week with a little bit more of a flow, but you need to have discipline. Don't just like, if you don't feel like doing something doesn't mean that you shouldn't or don't have to do it. Like, this is a week where you really want to stay on top of things, especially for full moon in the 12th house, because I could also see that as losing sleep. But that Venus and Mercury conjunction is really important because you are ruled by Venus. So Venus going back to join up with Mercury, it seems like you are going back to somebody and joining up with them. You know, Mercury has ties with your 12th house as well as your 9th house. So this could be like you meeting somebody again for a school purpose. Maybe this is like a mentor, a tutor. Maybe you're going back to somebody who lives very far away from you. Maybe this is somebody like you're reconnecting with someone through like a dream or through like some weird synchronicity. Like maybe you're seeing, excuse me, a bunch of signs of another person. So whatever the case might be, I kind of just feel like there's something going on of like a person that you yourself are actively wanting to go back to or speak to again or consult again, whether it be like your ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it be like your old tutor that you had back in high school or something like that, you know. Anyways, and that seems to be fueling the full moon lunar eclipse on the 14th in Virgo in your 12th house, because Mercury is the ruler of this eclipse. So it kind of seems like there's something going on with the way that you are communicating with people, how you are connecting with people, and also your subconscious or behaviors that you exhibit in relationships that you may not even realize are as bad as they are. So I think basically what I have to say about that, Libra, is pay attention to your tendency to either be too critical of yourself or too critical of the people around you. And pay attention to being a little bit too nervous and looking for reasons to validate unhealthy narratives in your relationships. And maybe there is a tendency to not feel good enough in your relationships and to overextend or to do more than what you need to do, or looking for relationships for the thrill of it as opposed to looking for connections that, you know, validate you yourself and allow the other person to be validated. Basically what I'm trying to say here is that there's definitely some kind of unhealthy dynamic that seems to unfold whenever you try to connect with other people, especially on like a deeper or more spiritual or more philosophical level. And I feel like this eclipse is kind of forcing you to unravel that and unpack something in that dynamic and that energy, and why that side of you sort of comes out. And it will be uncomfortable because you are assigned that rules relationship. So definitely just go about this eclipse about being easier on yourself and knowing that everything is not your fault, and that what you're doing right now is an exhibit of the behaviors that you have learned over the course of your life. And it is never too late to change yourself or change the people in your life, like in terms of like who you're deciding to exchange energy with, in order to become a better, more healthier person who is more true to themselves and more honest about what they like and what they need. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Libra. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye! Alright, now moving on to Scorpio rising. So hello, Scorpio rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Before anything, Scorpio, if you hear any background noise, or if you hear children screaming, crying, yelling, slamming doors, and adults doing the same thing, or phones ringing, anything, I am sorry. I am in a noisy house, and it was either this or no horoscope at all. So we going through with it. Anyways, the highlight of the week is definitely the full moon in Virgo lunar eclipse that will be happening on the 14th. And for you, this will be happening in your 11th house, which I actually kind of feel like is a pretty interesting house to have a full moon like this in. Kind of seems like there's something being revealed within friend groups, how you relate to other people, and how you see yourself versus how society sees you, if you get what I'm picking up. But before I kind of start getting into that, I do want to talk about the moon moving through Leo in the beginning of the week, because this will be squaring your ascendant, and it kind of seems like it's forming a very, very faint, it forms a T-square of your ascendant, basically. And the moon will oppose Pluto, and especially if you're like anywhere between like 0 or maybe like 1 to 4 degrees of Scorpio, maybe even 5, you'll be feeling this T-square a little bit tense in the beginning of the week. And it seems to be related to your home, your family, your reputation, your career, your status. And I definitely kind of see it as like you're interfering, or you're kind of intervening on something that is going on between your home and your career, especially like if you're going back and forth with your parents. This kind of seems like it's just something about your home front though, because Pluto is your modern day ruler. And then the moon will come into a square with Uranus. So definitely a lot of random shakeups and twists and turns because of other people at the beginning of the week. So kind of be prepared for that, and kind of leave some space open for some wiggle room, so that if something kind of falls through with your home, your routines, or just like your work and the people that you're around, you have some kind of, you know, like something, at least a little bit of time and energy to fall back on, to make sure that you can cover the the gaps, if you know what I mean. And around the same time as this, the moon's in a sun ruled sign, right? We see the sun actually in a conjunction with Saturn in your 5th house. Saturn rules your 3rd house. So I kind of feel like this could also be something about your career and status when it comes to your love life, your romance, your romances, your children, something even about like siblings, especially if you have any like aunts, uncles, or like if you yourself have siblings, there could be something going on with like kids. The sun likes to illuminate and the sun likes to shine light, obviously. So I almost wonder if there is like a sibling who is having a child. Maybe someone's becoming a father because the Saturn is the father and so is the sun. So this could be heavily related to your dad, Scorpio. So maybe like your dad's like dating, or maybe your dad's like, you know, like having a kid, or like maybe, you know, something like that. Someone could be becoming a dad, but this could also be about like dating apps, especially if you're trying to meet someone through social media. And I totally see this fitting into the full moon that is happening in Virgo, because this is in your 11th house, and the 11th and 3rd house are both associated with social media and like dating apps and things like that. So I also think that if you're wanting to bring some structure into your dating life, I think that the internet could be a great thing to use, not as a way of meeting people necessarily, which you could definitely do that, but I also kind of see it as more of like, you know, like, how do you see yourself on social media? How are you perceiving yourself in that sort of, what's the word? Media. There we go. Oh my gosh, that was like the perfect word to use for that. But definitely keep an eye out for that. This could also just be about like communication, talking to people, meeting people, having fun, going out, you know. But this week, there seems to be kind of like a cause and effect situation fanning out as it relates to the eclipse, because on the 11th, we will see a Venus and Mercury conjunction, and then we will see the eclipse on the 14th, and then Mercury will station retrograde on the 15th. Mercury rules your 8th house as well as your 11th house, so pay attention to intimacy, transformation, debts, taxes, money, finances, as well as your friendships, your social circles, society, and how you relate to it, your social media. I think that this will be a very, very heavy topic for you this week, Scorpio, especially as it relates to your routine, your work, especially if you do work on social media, or if you work with like internet or large groups of people. This could be an area of your life that is particularly inflamed, and Venus rules your 7th house and your 12th house. So on one hand, I could see this as like your work and your routine, or maybe your activity on social media could be impeding on your mental health and your sleep schedules. I could also see this as like a woman coming back to tell you about something, maybe a woman you used to work with. Maybe she is giving you an opportunity to work somewhere again. Maybe she is telling you about like something about like your debts and your taxes, maybe taxes that you did for a work situation previously. But this could also be about intimacy, getting to know someone closer that you work with. This could also be something about, you know, like investing money into your health. I feel like a lot of Scorpio risings have been going back and forth with their health and their regimens. So this lunar eclipse will definitely reveal something about that, especially because Virgo rules health, and I wouldn't be surprised with the 11th house energy. Maybe you're trying to like join a group of people, or maybe you're seeking out like a facility or foundation in order to assist you with something like this, you know, to garner more information, or to at least provide you some kind of guidance to navigate something. I also just feel like you guys are using the internet as a resource in order to tweak certain parts of your life to bring in improvement and a stronger sense of self. But, you know, and then the eclipse will happen, and then Mercury will start its retrograde cycle. And so I kind of feel like there could be something going on with like your, like, it's like you're going back to something. So this only applies if you have previously been in a group, or you have previously dealt with a health issue, or if you have previously, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like something about like your health, your routine, and as it relates to like your 8th and 11th house themes, like you're going back to something with that, going back to the basics in order to revisit something and to kind of revise it and go back to it. So, you know, with Mars, your chart ruler, but also the ruler of this little Aries situation going on here in your 9th house, I almost wonder if this is going back to school, or going back to something, to maybe you're traveling, maybe you're moving long distances, maybe you're consulting family who lives very far away from you, you know, in order to bring in some kind of wellness. Overall, Scorpio, I feel like this is like a very,
this week doesn't really seem like it's more about what's happening immediately, because the 11th house is the future. So I kind of feel like this is you tweaking something about your plans currently and your trajectory in order to change your destiny and what's going on later on, even just like a few months from now when we see the eclipses happen again in September. So just know that right now you won't see immediate results, or you won't kind of see things immediately take off. And as frustrating as that might be, as these two retrogrades kind of pan out, and we will see them start at the same degrees that the solar eclipse in Aries will be happening at the end of the month. So it's kind of slow and steady wins the race, and know that every little thing that you do will have a massive impact on you later on in the future, whether or not you cannot see it. Especially with the 6th house in Virgo energy, it's like one little thing could change truly everything. So just know that you're making a bigger impact than you think, Scorpio. So that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching, Scorpio. I'm so glad yours was pretty quiet in terms of like background noise. I hope your horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Capricorn rising. So hello, Capricorn rising. If you are seeing this, this would be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. By the way, Capricorn, before anything, if you hear any background noise, children screaming, crying, yelling, slamming doors, and adults doing the same thing, phones ringing, anything, I'm so sorry. I'm in a noisy house. It was either this or don't film at all. So we rolling with it. Anyways, Capricorn, the highlight of the week is definitely the full moon lunar eclipse that is happening in Virgo on the 14th. And I have to say, Capricorn, I feel like you are one of the more well-equipped to deal with this eclipse, because it is trining your ascendant, and then the ruler Mercury is in your 4th house. So I kind of feel like this energy is a little bit easier to manage, and it's more obvious, if that makes sense. But before we kind of get into the lunar eclipse, I do want to talk about the moon moving through Leo in the beginning of the week. It will start out in your 8th house, and it will come into an opposition with Pluto in your 2nd house, and also square Uranus in your 5th house. So definitely something going on with your self-worth, with your money. It could be something about taxes. I would kind of give it a second. I feel like low-key, because Pluto has ties at the 11th house, you need to keep a death grip on your money like that first few days of the week, maybe like the 10th through like the 12th, because Pluto is the ruler of your 11th house, and that makes me think of like foundations, like groups of people trying to scam you, take money from you, like take advantage of you, something like that. And this is obviously like, because Pluto is a very slow-moving planet, this is something that you would have already realized, or something that you have been anticipating. So if you haven't been anticipating this, know that it's not going to really happen. But for others of you, I feel like this could be fears of not being good enough, fears of not having enough self-worth to date, be in the relationship that you want to be in, fears revolving around children, especially if you want kids, fears around self-expression, dabbling into hobbies, doing things that you want to do, maybe feeling not good enough for the hobbies that you already have. Maybe there is something going on with like comparing yourself, you versus others. And especially because your chart ruler Saturn is also dancing with the sun, the ruler of Leo, in your 3rd house in the beginning of this week. So this could be something about education. Maybe you're feeling intellectually inadequate. Maybe you're wanting to learn something. Maybe you're wanting to go back to school. Maybe you're reminiscing about experiences that you had when you were a little kid back in elementary school. Especially with the full moon that is happening in your 9th house, I totally wouldn't be surprised if this is something about like your goals revolving around college or graduation, or even traveling, culturing yourself, learning more, seeing more. This could literally be that you are moving long distances, especially with the ruler being in your 4th house. But overall, Capricorn, I just have to say, like, the beginning of the week might feel a little bit more tense for you, and at a more realistic level, just keep an eye on your schedule, keep an eye on your routine. I kind of feel like this week there could be something going on in the home front with your family. I think that there could be easy pickings to go run late for things, like oversleeping, being too tired, things not going through, especially with like your car, especially things with like transportation, financing a car. If you're dealing with something like that, terrible time to buy a car. If you're trying to look to buy a car right now, Pisces is very deceptive. It might kind of seem like, oh yeah, like you can get this brand new 2025 car and then it'll be like brand new and the payment's only like 200 a month, and it's like, dang, this is too good to be true. It is too good to be true. There is a loophole, there is a catch, Capricorn. So if you're looking to buy a new phone, technology, a car, wait until April when planets are going direct. If you want to do it right now and ruin your life, absolutely go for it. I'm not the boss of you. But anyways, this week kind of seems like a cause and effect sort of situation that's kind of lined up when it comes to the eclipse, because on the 11th, we will see Venus and Mercury come into a conjunction, and then we will see the eclipse on the 14th, and then on the 15th, we will see Mercury station retrograde. So Mercury rules your 6th house of health, habits, routine, and pets, as well as your 9th house of higher education, travels, long distance matters, extended family. So I kind of feel like these themes will be extremely important this week as they relate to your home and your family and your past, because I feel like this is kind of an area where you could be seeing conflict, because Mars is conflict, and you know, Aries is conflict. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in your 7th house, so be wary of conflict, arguments, stress with people that you live with, people that you are associated with, people you're related to. Venus has ties with your 10th house as well as your 5th house, especially as it relates to children, as it relates to your self-expression, your love life, your parents. But I would just kind of say, like, Capricorn, this is like a pretty touchy subject, I feel, or this is kind of like a dicey week for you. It's not so much, it seems to be more of like an exasperation of an ongoing issue as opposed to something coming up out of nowhere. It kind of just seems like there's something that you've been dealing with, and then suddenly this week it just kind of like worsens, or it kind of gets, you know, bigger out of nowhere, and then after the week progresses, it's kind of like you go all the way down, like past what you were dealing with before the eclipse. So patience is a virtue this week, Capricorn, especially with the people that you are around. And then when Mercury stations retrograde in your 4th, it might be that this isn't even about you. It could be about people that you're living with. Maybe there's a woman that you live with or are related to, and she's changing up something and it's affecting your health and your routine. Maybe it's affecting your work. Maybe it's affecting your educational plans. And it might be that you're kind of having to like double back on something and pivot and omit something from your schedule, or go back to a schedule in order to accommodate someone else that you are living with. But I kind of feel like there's like a sense of frustration here, because I kind of feel like Capricorns have been dealing with this for a very long time now, and it doesn't even seem like it's like different. It's like literally been the same thing over and over and over and over again. So know that this lunar eclipse on one hand will be pretty volatile, and it might kind of like, you know, like cause a sore spot to emerge, but on the other hand, at least there will be a definite issue that is presented, and there will be a definite solution that can kind of match up to that. And it seems to be related to how you can pivot in your schedule, in your routine, in order to fix it. I also feel like this is like a really weird time to be investing into property and homes. So Capricorn, if you're looking to buy a home, or if you're looking to rent out, if you can help it, I would wait until next month, because I just kind of feel like retrogrades in the 4th house and then your 7th house really beginning a lunar eclipse, very tense, especially with Mars still in your 7th house. And you know, like, I just kind of feel like this is like a really weird energy. I think that a lot of you could also be dealing with like repiping and water issues in the home. But anyways, Capricorn, I don't mean for this to come off as like you're only dealing with negative things. It just might be that a problem is finally presented to you, and with a definite problem, like I said, comes a definite solution. So that this week will kind of be like the beginning of like a one and done deal for something that you are tired of dealing with. So finally an opportunity to kind of see through something, even if it's just a little piece of the picture. But just kind of hold back and bite your tongue a little bit. I think that Saturn in the 3rd house in Pisces can be like unawareness with communication. So just kind of like, when in doubt, take a second to stew over things as opposed to taking immediate action. So that's all I have for you, Capricorn. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for dealing with the noise. I hope your horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye! Alright, now moving on to Aquarius rising. So hello, Aquarius. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Aquarius, before anything, I just want to say, if you hear any background noise, like children children screaming, yelling, crying, slamming doors, adults doing the same thing, phones ringing. I'm so sorry. I'm in a noisy household right now. But it was either this or not film the horoscope at all. So we gotta pivot, y'all. Anyways, now that that's all the way, we have your horoscope. So obviously the highlight of the week, the highly anticipated full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo is finally happening, and it's happening on the 14th and in your 8th house. And I have to say, Aquarius, this is a pretty intense lunation for you. I feel like this is going to be a wild ride because there is a huge scrutinization going on with your self-worth and ability to, connect with others at a deeper, more efficient level without being so criticizing of yourself. But I kind of feel like there could be fears of imperfection being realized here because the 8th house can rule fears, and then Virgo is very afraid of bad health. It's afraid of being useless. It's afraid of, not being good enough. It's afraid of imperfection. It is afraid of just things being out of order and chaotic. And I feel like a lot of these fears within you are being revealed throughout this full moon. So, and that's why I'm kind of saying it might feel very intense, because it might kind of feel like something that you are not completely aware of or realize is being revealed to you as time slowly unfolds. And it seems to have started with your 3rd house and 2nd house, with your self-worth, with your money, with your financing abilities, but also your ability to communicate efficiently, your intellectual capabilities, what you know, the information that you possess, your intelligence, if you know what I mean, but also with your ability to work with your hands and get things done, and to be an honest and open communicator. And, before I kind of get into the eclipse anymore, I kind of want to talk about the moon moving through Leo. So Aquarius, this is definitely going to be like the wonkiest aspect for you, I feel like, out of any zodiac sign, because we have the moon moving through your 7th house in the beginning of the week, and it will come into an opposition with Pluto in your 1st house and a square with Uranus in your 4th house. Right off the bat, there is something kind of going down with your past. You could be hearing from somebody whom you haven't spoken to in a very, very long time. They could be someone from your childhood, but this could also just be about like fears within your identity and how you relate to other people. I also want to say that the moon is in a sun-ruled sign. The sun is in your 2nd house, conjunct Saturn on the 12th. Really, really important, because you are also traditionally ruled by Saturn, and you're also modern day ruled by Uranus. So both of your chart rulers are kind of going through something with the moon in your 7th house. So it definitely seems like there's something going on here with your relationships, your identity, and your responsibilities. Saturn rules your 12th house, and then in your 2nd house, I kind of feel like this could be about your subconscious behaviors and the things that you don't realize that you do in your relationships when it comes to your self-worth, but also your money and how you manage your money within your relationships. I think that if you are farther down the line in life and you are actually in a marriage, or if you are actually joint financed with somebody, I feel like this energy could be definitely you like getting down to the bottom of it, with your responsibilities, with how you are managing your money, who you distribute money to versus who distributes money to you. And I feel like this full moon in your 8th house is definitely going to tell you something about that. Like, where do you need to stop giving to people versus where do you need to start giving more to others, And I kind of feel like something about your services, something about what you offer to others versus how you show up for yourself, something about that dynamic is kind of being scrutinized. I also think that this is a horrible time to be investing any money into anything, especially if it's related to like Bitcoin or like cryptocurrency. I know that some of your Aquarius placements are dabbling into that. So digital banking, online banking, not a good time to be investing in that. Just eclipse season, I wouldn't do anything out of the ordinary or take any sort of risks. If you want to ruin your life, I'm not the boss of you. Go for it. Anyways, I also kind of feel like the opposition to Pluto could be something about like obsession with other people or other people's obsession with you, but also power dynamics. Be wary of people exerting control over you. Be wary of you trying to exert control over other people, especially with the lunar eclipse. I kind of feel like this could be about like the services that you do or the things that you do for others to try and get them to rely on you, or other people trying to get you to rely on them, Just focus on how you tackle dependency in your life. But anyways, this week when it comes to the eclipse, it's kind of like a cause and effect thing. And I think that you will kind of see the themes very slowly but subtly speed up out of nowhere, because we see Venus and Mercury coming to a conjunction on the 11th, and then we will see the eclipse on the 14th, and then we will see Mercury start its retrograde cycle on the 15th. And we need to pay attention to Mercury, because Mercury is the ruler of the eclipse. So whatever it's doing will be a very telltale sign of what we can expect. And Mercury has ties with your 5th house as well as your 8th house. So this could be heavily related to children. This could be related to intimacy. This could be related to money. This could be related to romance. This could be related to risks you take. But this could also be related to other people's children. You know, especially with Venus here, maybe this is like a sister and her kids. Maybe this is an aunt and her children. Maybe your cousins. You know, something of that nature could be kind of unfolding. And because Venus is retrograde and will be the one to initiate the conjunction, Venus rules your 4th house and your 9th house. So this could be a woman that you live with. This could be a woman that lives very far away from you, but you are related to her in some way. This could even be like someone that you consult for like educational purposes, maybe like a mentor or something like that. But whatever it might be, there's someone kind of coming back to inform you of something or kind of bring you news about something. This could also be like an interview. This could be a very important phone call. This could be you getting into contact with somebody over something, and maybe it's related to school, maybe it's related to educational purposes, maybe it's related to transportational purposes. Horrible time to buy a car. Horrible time to make big financial investments, Aquarius. I cannot stress this enough. You know, I feel like there's a few times where maybe I'm like, oh, like maybe you can get away with like doing something, but this is the kind of week where it's like you really don't want to do that. Maybe this is like a week where if you have been trying to refinance a car or refinance something or get back into touch with something about an interview, not a bad time to do this. But if you're trying to buy new, or if you're trying to get into something again, I would absolutely would not do it. I think that maybe like this could be like if you need to like rent a car or buy a temporary car, sure. But overall, I think retrogrades, conjunctions in the 3rd house in Aries, not a good time to do this. I kind of feel like this could be like, you know, like bad financing, you know, like maybe there's like a loophole. Maybe there's fine print that you don't see. Maybe this could even be like getting into like damaging the car the first day that you rent it out, you know, something like that. So just kind of keep that in mind, Aquarius. And then when Mercury retrogrades later on the 15th, the day after the eclipse, I kind of feel like this is you kind of going back on something. So solutions will be presented to you, Aquarius, and it is by revisiting something. And then as you revisit things, we will see a new moon solar eclipse happen at the end of the month, and it will happen at the same degrees of Aries that Venus and Mercury started their retrograde cycles. So it's kind of like based on the information and the knowledge that you are moving around it right now, it will present a lot of new beginnings or new like things that you're thrusted into at the end of this month. So know that although you might not be making a lot of progress, watch what you are saying, watch the information that you are digesting. It will play heavy later on in the month. So that's all I have for you, Aquarius. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Pisces rising. So hello, Pisces rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for March 10th through March 16th. Now, Pisces, before anything, I just need to let you know I'm in a really noisy house right now. So if you hear kids screaming, crying, yelling, slamming doors, adults doing the same thing, phones ringing, I'm so sorry. It was either do this or no horoscope at all for the week. So anyways, we're just going to get a move on with it. We're going to pivot. We're going to do what we can. So Pisces, so the highlight of the week is most definitely, obviously, the full moon lunar eclipse that will be happening in Virgo on the 14th on your 7th house. So definitely all things relating to relationships, the people that you are around, legal matters, documents, papers, you know, just other people in general. It don't matter what it is, but just other people and your commitments to them. And before we kind of dive into the eclipse, I do want to talk about the beginning of the week, because we will see the moon moving through Leo, and it will be moving through your 6th house of health, habits, routine, and pets. And it will also come into an opposition with Pluto in your 12th house, as well as a square with Uranus in your 3rd house. So from those aspects alone, I feel like there could be a lot of random things going on with like relationships or like work relationships, but also something about coworkers, something about your transportation. I kind of feel like moon square Uranus from the 3rd and 6th houses could be interruptions within your routine, your schedule. So beginning of the week, Pisces, just make sure you keep those eyes peeled and make sure you look out for any weird loopholes in your schedule, because you might notice that things kind of come out of nowhere. Like, I can see this as like, oh, I have a routine set, and then suddenly someone's like, oh, hey, like, can you help me with this? Can you go here with me or here, or, you know, do this for me? You know, random interview, random callbacks, random phone calls, random car trips, you know, all sorts of things like that. I kind of just feel like the beginning of the week will be very busy for you. And with the moon opposing Pluto from your 12th house, I would kind of be careful of bad habits when it comes to your health and your mental health. Pay attention to how you self-sabotage your physical body, or pay attention to how you're self-sabotaging in your day-to-day routines, in your sleep schedules. Your dreams could tell you a lot. You could be having some funky dreams in the beginning of the week. Who hasn't been with the Pisces energy in the sky? I cannot believe y'all live like this. Sorry, not sorry. But I also feel like because Pluto rules your 9th house, this could be something about your beliefs, your faiths, your perspectives on life as a whole. This could even be about your educational pursuits and the information that you are trying to absorb. And while the moon is in Leo, a sun-ruled sign, the sun is in your 1st house, conjunct with Saturn, who is the ruler of your 11th house. So this could be something about your friends. This could be responsibility and duties and assisting the people that you're associated with at like an acquaintance level. This could be friend groups. This could be social media. I kind of also feel like this could be something about responsibilities and burdens regarding how you relate to other people in society, how you connect with people, and opportunities. You know, maybe there's like fears or responsibilities around responsibilities, or not responsibilities, opportunities that you have missed out on. So this could be you taking a chance on something despite the fact that maybe it's a little bit inconvenient to you in some way, shape, or form. I'd have to guess it's some way related to your schedule. But I kind of just feel like Sun conjunct Saturn in the 1st house could also be something about your body, you know, like especially if you're on like social media, maybe like there's a tendency to compare your body to other people online, or maybe there's something going on with like your fitness journey, or something going on with like how you perceive your body versus how others might perceive it. Or this could be something about your identity and how you fit into society. You know, the 11th house is society, so I think that there could be wounds coming up here, or responsibilities, or restrictions and delays. So definitely take your time in the beginning of the week, Pisces, when it comes to like your relationships with your friends and how you feel like you relate to other people. This dynamic is something that will be slowly tethered out, especially with the eclipse that is happening in your 7th house. And speaking of this eclipse, I kind of feel like this is like a cause and effect kind of thing. I've been saying that for every sign, because on the 11th, we will see Venus and Mercury come into a conjunction. And then on the 14th is when we see the eclipse. And then on the 15th, we will see Mercury station retrograde. And we really need to pay attention to what Mercury is doing, because the eclipse is in a Mercury-ruled sign. So a lot of what it is doing can be a telltale sign of how this eclipse season will pan out for you. So Mercury rules your 4th house of home, family, in the past, as well as your 7th house of your commitments, relationships, and legal matters. And so a lot of that could be coming up, especially as it relates to your money, your self-worth, your finances, and your values. So something about this dynamic is kind of being scrutinized over the course of this week and throughout this eclipse season. So definitely take your time, especially because we just finished up the eclipses that have happened in your 2nd and 8th house. Keep in mind, Pisces, at the end of this month, we will see a solar eclipse in Aries, the final eclipse that will kind of wrap up this 2nd and 8th house story for you. And this eclipse will happen at the same degrees that Mercury and Venus started their retrograde. So it kind of seems like what you are reevaluating with your money, your finances, your self-worth, and your values, whatever you're kind of going back on there will be the catalyst for the new beginnings that you face at the end of this month. So know that the intentions that you are setting right now will be randomly thrown around, and right last minute before you think anything is going to work out, things will kind of pan out and start making sense. So kind of give yourself some grace and know that things are happening for a reason right now. Anyways, so Venus and Mercury conjunct in your 2nd house. Venus rules your 3rd house and your 8th house. So I definitely feel like this is very heavily financially related. Some of y'all could be receiving some sort of a refund. Some of you could be receiving a tax refund. I almost wonder if this is like getting an interview for like like a job. I almost wonder if this is somebody who you haven't spoken to in a while, kind of getting back to you. This could also be like a very deep, intimate conversation, especially if like a woman maybe like an aunt, a grandma, a sister-in-law, a female cousin, something like that could be very significant. But whatever this conversation might be, Aries is very raw, and so it might be a very like interesting conversation and very like honest. The ruler of Aries is Mars. Mars is in your 5th house, and it kind of seems like there's something going on here with like your romance as well. So maybe if you're in a relationship, you're talking to your partners, like, so you're talking to your in-laws or something like that. But this could also be related to like just like speaking to romantic partners. This could be related to speaking to children. This could be related to like how you are talking to your family members. This could be related to your self-expression, but also like taking risks. And you know, Mars is in a very light sextile with the moon in Virgo before it starts its eclipse phase. So I kind of feel like this could be definitely something about like maybe you're talking to your partner about children. Maybe you're talking to a partner about like at a very innocent level. Overall, Pisces, I feel like the themes are harder to pin down, but I kind of feel like it's about asserting yourself in a more honest, more raw way that is more true to who you are and who you feel like you are, especially because you've probably faced some kind of like, or you've realized of something about like your inhibitions or restrictions relating to society and how you relate to groups of people and the people around you. And it could be related to your father, since the sun and Saturn is like the father. So this could be something about that and like how he fit into society versus how much you take on after him. But overall, Pisces, I kind of just feel like the advice that I have for you this week is be honest, you know, be truthful about who you are, project who you feel like you are, even if you might disappoint or cause some kind of controversy, because the people who agree with you and don't feel the need to criticize you, but in fact support you and want to help you, will stick around. But that's all I have for you, Pisces. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. Thank you for sticking around with the noise.